we are officially in Jim Knowles' watch. How many refreshes do you think for Sooner Nation, for Buckeye Nation? And now Penn State's in this? Like, that was the curveball. Like, now Penn State's coming to the table, and they're ponying up some massive – I mean, the reports were north of $3 million offer to try to get Jim Knowles to leave Columbus and go to Happy Valley.
How did the Bear Bryant event go for you?
It was awesome. It
always is, isn't it?
It really is. That's my third year to host it. It's so cool. It's in Houston at the Post Oak Hotel. It's Tillman Fertitta built that hotel. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel, and they put on a great event. 7 of the 8 finalists were there. It was Marcus Freeman showed up after less than 48 hours after losing the national championship. He was there. Rhett Lashley at SMU. Spencer Danielson, Boise State, Kurt Signetti, Kurt Signetti, Indiana, Jeff Munkin was there from Army, Kenny Dillingham from Arizona State. It was awesome, man. All the coaches were fabulous, and Marcus Freeman winds up winning the award, and he gave just an outstanding speech at the end. And then Fran Brown was also there. He won Newcomer Coach of the Year for. It's a new one that they started with any first-year head coach and the success he had at Syracuse. He gave a great speech, and it's really cool. It's different than anything I've done. Like, I'm like hosting this event. And they kind of, and it's on CBS Sports Network, and I got a teleprompter, and I'm trying to just keep the room, keep some energy, keep some juice. So it's unlike anything else I've done. But third year, we're getting better and better at it, and they've enjoyed having me. I have loved getting a chance to host it. And the great thing, man, is like you just get to celebrate college football one last time. A good way for me to kind of put a bow on the end of my travels, the end of the season. And the best bonus for me is I get all this FaceTime with these head coaches, man. That's like one of my favorite parts of this job. When I go around, I do these games to sit and build a rapport and build a relationship with these coaches that I respect and appreciate so much. And that's like after the season and everybody's in a good mood. Shane Beamer was there also, by the way. I forgot to mention him. And their guards down, and they're all they're there for a reason. They're reflecting on great seasons. And of course, they had losses along the way, but it's a really good event. And man, I tell you, I had some interesting conversations with some of these coaches about their thoughts on the playoff, on maybe some of the future of college football, and it was all really, really good. So a great event, and got home yesterday, Plank, after my morning show, and that's it, man. That closed the chapter to the 2024 college football season for me, and I can tell you the only person more excited about that my travels have concluded than me is my wife. She's very fired up that I'm here, and the honey-do list is long and very distinguished at this point already.
Good on you, man. And like you said, you got a lot. You got wife's birthday, you got anniversary, you got Valentine's Day. Oh, yeah. There's a lot packed in over the next few weeks for you, bro, isn't there?
There's no doubt. We got plenty. And sports are firing up. Competitive 7-on-7's about to get going. We've dipped our toe in this wrestling waters. So yeah, get a chance to be dad, and now the some of the competitive youth sports circuits about to begin, and which I love, man. So great to get a chance to.
It's fun, isn't it?
To be home, man. It's fun. It's absolutely the best. I was going to throw this at you real quick. This is won't reveal a name, but a coach threw this at me, and he's pretty adamant. He thinks that they should go to a 16-team playoff, and he thinks it should be no byes, 8 home games in the first round, and the 4 Power 4 conference championship games, winner and loser get in. And if you win, you're guaranteed to host. You're not guaranteed a top 4 seed, but you're guaranteed a top 8 seed. And
okay.
And so
I like it.
That was his thought, and then you play out the rest the exact same way. He said Group of 5 was not guaranteed a spot in his mind. If they fall within the top 16, so be it, but don't guarantee the spot. But his big thing was conference championship games. Make that a real reward for making it. And if you're in the Power 4, if you make it, you're in, and then there's essentially 8 at-large spots that the committee can decide. But I thought that was interesting. I had a coach pretty adamant to jump this thing from 12 to 16. Is 16 too many, or could you get down with 4 more home playoff games and no buys?
Okay. And Josh, feel free to jump in here, man. I love it because I'm really struggling with the championship game's role in all of this. And if you are able to make it where the championship game isn't like a 3rd and 4th place battle, as some have talked up, which I'm still kind of feeling it out. I don't think I like it. But I love this idea, man, right? Suddenly you're in a place where if you win that game, Dusty, it means something because you get a home game.
Correct.
And as we've learned, that's a big freaking deal.
And if you make it there, there's reward in that too because you're making the playoff. You're in. I thought that was an interesting way to look at it. And to your point, I've heard some of this conversation. I saw what Jim Phillips had said. And, regular season, you win the conference, and then second and third will play. I don't like that. What I do like though is like these consolation games, like to have another, I guess, data point or try to play your way in. If we get to where there's a lot of rumors that the SEC and the Big Ten will each have 4 guaranteed spots. I don't know how I feel about guaranteeing spots, but if there's, because I think that I'd seen where it'd be like the 1 and 2 play for the championship, and then 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5, and essentially you've got on that same weekend they kind of build up. Big Ten, SEC would have more quality games, but still have a championship. If you're telling me I can sign up for really good team, good college teams playing good college teams, I get more of that. Okay, I'm not going to say no, but I want there to be a true championship. Like, let's let the top 2 teams in the conference play in a game to determine who's the champion. So what I think is fascinating is a lot of people throwing a lot of stuff up against the wall. What's going to stick? We're going to find out, but definitely the consensus that I gathered from talking to coaches, they love the expanded playoff, and they think that we'll continue to try to fine-tune and figure out exactly what the right mix is moving forward. But home playoff games, the playoff in general, one coach said to me, just look at it in this simple. The 2 teams that played in the national championship and the team that won it would not have ever have been in the even in the playoff in previous years. This coach said to me that in and of itself proves this thing is working and it's the right move for college football. So I just think it's all really good conversation, and I like to hear that coaches within the sport were really happy and like the path that we're heading in college football.
What do you think, Josh?
I love the idea of expanding it to where you get to the 16, everybody plays. It eliminates some of the conversation about, did the long layoff hurt teams? I think, Dusty, something we've talked about this week, I think you move the whole playoff up one week.
We talked about that too, Josh, and coaches agree with that. Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off. You're exactly right, though.
So you do all of these items we've talked about, you move it up one week, and I actually think, it has a chance to kind of help the Army-Navy game get a little attention and notoriety.
Yeah, I think all that makes a ton of sense. So we'll see. It's 1 year in. Everybody is, going to kind of, I think, offer their opinion, look at it, what's good, what can we make better. I think that's the big thing. It's like none of it's bad. What can we do to make it even better? And that'll take place here over the upcoming months. The other thing, just lastly, a couple other coaches mentioned to me, April 7th, a key date. College football fans should keep an eye on. I guess that's the date, and we should know this, but the House settlement, that it fully gets, signed, sealed, delivered. It's been approved, but it has not been enacted and put into place. April 7th will be that date. And I had multiple coaches, kind of tell me that, we had the discussion about the portal windows that, get going from multiple portal windows to potentially that one date that the coaches voted on in unanimous vote from January 2nd to January 12th, and that being the only portal window, that until this House settlement is that April 7th date, that would not be put into place. But once that date hits, you could see a real strong push for that portal conversation to come to fruition, and as well as the 5th year of eligibility. Sounds like that's probably going to happen, Plank. That red shirts are a thing of the past. And, again, I'm not saying any of this is guaranteed, but this was consensus talking with some of these coaches and just talking to other people as well. But I appreciate and value what the coaches have to say as much or more than anybody. And it sure sounds like, that 5th year of eligibility and red shirting as we've known it forever, that's going to go to the wayside. And, 5 years of eligibility is going to be, probably that new standard moving forward as soon as the start of next season. So after that April 7th date, that's when you may see this stuff really try to get pushed through to be put into place for the start of next season. So just a couple of little sidebar nuggets to keep an eye on that here later in the spring are going to potentially be very impactful for the future of the sport that we love so much.
All right, real quick before we get a couple of NFL thoughts, and Dusty Dvoracek is our guest. Thanks for still finding time this week on what I know is a crazy week for you, Dusty. But was there much buzz about Jim Knowles? I think for me, I opened up the show just ranting. Listen, we don't have any new news. And you kind of feel like to a certain degree that everyone that talks about something happening here or something happening there, it's always caveated with, but we just don't know. We're not really sure what's going on here. Seems like there is smoke to this fire, and I don't think any of us have ever doubted that after some of the initial reporting. But anything new that you're hearing on that front?
I got nothing. I think everybody, we are officially in Jim Knowles' watch. How many refreshes do you think for Sooner Nation, for Buckeye Nation, and now Penn State's in this? Like that was the curveball. Like now Penn State's coming to the table and they're ponying up some massive. I mean, the reports were north of $3 million offer to try to get Jim Knowles to leave Columbus and go to Happy Valley. That would really surprise me. I mean, it again, and I don't know, but it would feel like he either stays at Ohio State or, indeed he ultimately comes to Oklahoma. But I don't have anything new. Like I told you before, there's something to this. Like there's conversations going on. This is definitely something that Jim Knowles is trying to figure out and work through. Does he? And like I said to you the other day, I have no idea if this actually happens. But when it was first kind of mentioned, I kind of brushed it off as, yeah, right. No way. Why would he do that?
Same.
Well, we know that this is at least something that is very real. Does it come to fruition? I still have no idea. And I wish I had something to tell our fabulous KREF Army and Sooner fans all over the place. I don't. But, I think that you would – I would say this. A decision you would expect to happen here anytime now, right? Like I just have to think with recruiting going on and just timeline, I would have to think that something happens sooner than later. And what that decision is going to be, I have no idea. And I don't even really would be willing to offer up a guess because that's all it would be is a guess, Plank. If it's a football decision, I don't know how you would leave a place that you just won a national championship and you have taken that defense to back-to-back number one defense in the country. I recognize the talent at Oklahoma. They got a chance to be really good on defense next year. I think this really comes down to a personal decision, a life decision, probably more so than a football decision, right? I think we'd all kind of agree to that. And I have no idea, the factors in that for Coach Knowles. He's a fabulous coach. He was great in Stillwater. I really enjoyed getting a chance to cover him there. He's been outstanding in Columbus, and ultimately if he winds up in Norman as their defensive coordinator, everybody's going to be fired up and excited for the personnel that he has and the defensive mind that he is. And you mix him and Brent Venables together, I think it's great. And I think that this would be a situation where I really do think for the first time since he's been a head coach, you'd see Coach Venables really step back a little bit and allow – and I think that would have to be part of the agreement, I would expect, that Jim Knowles is going to get control of this defense, which would be a different spot for Coach V, but one that may be extremely beneficial. So I'm like everybody else, man. I don't know exactly how this thing plays out, but I'm anticipating on the edge of my seat just like everybody else. But it sure would be nice if a decision came here pretty quickly. That's for sure.
Dusty, just to illustrate how in the weeds we are on Jim Knowles' watch, there's now debates on, the Ohio State Championship Parade's on Sunday. If he goes to the championship parade, he's staying. Do you have any feelings on the timeline? Does that matter to you if he goes to the parade? I said earlier, to me, that's sort of seeing things through. I don't know that factors into this, but what do you make of that element of it?
I didn't know about the parade. I didn't even think about the parade aspect of it. I just think in general, the more time passes, and this could be completely wrong, I would think that the more time that passes, the less likely a move would be. But that's just a guess that I have. And I say that Al Golden's already at Cincinnati, right? Al Golden's already let Notre Dame know he's leaving to go be the defensive coordinator there for the Bengals. And I would think that just with college football, Jim Knowles knowing, with even potentially players getting in the portal here from these two schools that just played and getting everything, your rosters in order and players still in the portal, you would want to get to where you're going to go as quickly as possible because though they're going to enjoy and celebrate that championship, you're on to the next season. And I think right now, coaches are already out recruiting, that next crop of players for the 2026 class. So that would be the only thing I would offer up, not necessarily related to the parade, but the more time that passes, it would just lend me to believe the less likely a move would be. But that could be completely wrong. We could get to next Friday and still not have any news and him still decide ultimately he wants to make this move and come to Oklahoma. But that would be my only thing. I think the quicker something, obviously, like if the quicker something would happen, if it happens, then it's obviously likely to happen. I just think that time is not necessarily on Oklahoma's side. I don't know if you guys would agree with that or not, but that's kind of the way I see it.
I agree. No, I agree 100%. Hey, Dusty, listen, we got Kirsten Johnson coming in, so we're gonna let you go. But I want to ask two more before we let you get out of here. Okay?
Yes.
Number one, NFL. Pete Carroll's been hired by the Raiders.
Wow! When did that happen?
I like it a lot. Just today, just this morning.
I haven't even seen
ago.
that yet. Oh wow!
Yeah, just this.
How do you
literally
feel about
an hour
that?
ago. I love it. The Raiders need a culture shift. I loved Antonio Pierce's swagger and attitude, but he didn't have the coaching chops yet and made a lot of really bad decisions, and he got hamstrung with a bad roster. So I like the GM hire. I like the coaching hire. Should I? I was just texting with Todd Furman, as our buddy over at the Bet the Board podcast in Vegas, and I told him, I'm like, listen, buddy, am I insane if I feel good about this? He said, well, we can go glass half full if he can build a culture and bring a different level of energy than Pierce. So in regard, I'm okay with it. So that's someone with the boots on the ground in Vegas, right? That you and I know pretty well.
He's great.
I just know as a fan, I want something solid. And it seems like Pete Carroll brings you a solid foundation.
Well, Pete Carroll, he's a winner. He's won each of his last two stops, and he's won big. So I do like that. He's got great energy. He did an awesome job there in Seattle. I think probably good to get a reboot. He's a West Coast guy, so I think he's going to probably love that aspect of it. The biggest thing I think Pete Carroll needs to be able to do is get a quarterback. That's would be my question to you. Who's going to be the quarterback of this franchise? We know how important that is, but I like that, man. I've never been a Pete Carroll hater, and I think that USC and obviously Seattle went unbelievably well. So I think you got to be fired up if you're a Raiders fan, welcoming and bringing in Pete Carroll. But I think until you get that quarterback piece, Plank, I think you're kind of just running on that hamster wheel that's going nowhere. So that'll be the big factor for him. As much as I like Aiden O'Connell, sorry, Plank, I think
we're not winning anything.
I think there's a ceiling there.
In a division with Patrick Mahomes,
right,
Justin Herbert,
correct,
and Bo Nix,
that's right.
You're not just fourth; you're a distant fourth.
That's
and then finally, some Cowboy fans are losing their minds about the potential of Brian Schottenheimer. Where do you stand on this?
Brian Schottenheimer does not get me all warm and fuzzy. I can tell you that. You want to talk about a bit of a I don't I don't really know what to make of this, Plank. I just
Okay.
I'm not a big fan. I mean, so is it like Kellen Moore or Schottenheimer? Like, is that kind of what we're all thinking now? I mean, I guess Prime is still somewhat in this conversation. I would just have to think that since we've waited this long, Kellen Moore obviously is still coaching for the Eagles. My gut would tell me I kind of just feel like he's still kind of the leader in the clubhouse, right?
I think so.
That's what I think. I think it winds up being Kellen Moore. And when the Eagles season is done, is it on Sunday after this Commanders game? Is it after the Super Bowl? We'll find out. But that would be my lean. Is it Kellen Moore is the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
Dusty,
Hey, by the way, I got
buddy.
Commanders Bills. I was terrible picking
do you
games last
really?
week. I can't root for the Eagles. I love Lane Johnson. I'll be happy for him. But the Eagles are my number one most hated team in the National Football League, being a Cowboys fan. This is like the worst world, the NFC East in the NFC Championship. But I like Jaden Daniels. Cliff's a friend, so I'll root for the Commanders, I guess.
Wow.
And I'll say Jaden Daniels gets it. Jalen Hurts doesn't look healthy, so I'll go Commanders. And though the Chiefs we got a lot of Oklahoma ties, it just feels like Josh Allen's turn. So I'm going to say somehow James is going to cook on Sunday. So James Cook's the X factor. Bills get to the Super Bowl. What do you think?
I like it. Get that NFL in there. I like it. All right, hey, buddy. Thanks, Dusty. We'll talk to you next week, man.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you.
See you, brother.